Hey guys, gotta make a video. It looks like Mr. wants to be back in the background. So I thought I would do this video. I just did one a couple of days ago. Obviously, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of tensions. A lot of people are on edge. There's a whole lot of lying going on. And I was just kind of sitting there. I was reading a book. I'm reading The Untethered Soul again. I read it before. A lot of times I like to, when I come home from work, do my thing, maybe go work out nowadays. I'm doing better, taking care of myself. But then kick it with books at night. That's what I do. I don't want to be doom scrolling on social media, though sometimes it does get my attention. But I want you to guys notice something. Do you notice that, back in the day, there would be like breaking news, it'd be something big, but every day is breaking news. So to the point that I really feel they're trying to get us, like Pink Floyd would say, comfortably numb. By the way, happy Juneteenth. Okay, I've got the cup. But yeah, they're trying to get us comfortably numb in this shit, to where breaking news is chaos, is chaos. I encourage you guys to read the book 1984, by the way. Okay, double think and all that, the manipulation. So during this time, and there was a thing I just saw on the news. I was watching a clip on the news. They had that Tulsi Gabbard. She's supposed to be one of the intelligence people working for Trump. Just in March, she said Iran does not have weapons of mass destruction. They're not close to getting it or whatever. And what the Trump people did, they edited her video, and then where she's kind of talking about uranium enrichment, but they cut that part out and pushed that narrative on their base without that part where she said they are not close to a nuclear weapon, which she specifically said in March, and that's one of Trump's people. So this is a crazy time period where you want to be very careful not to be manipulated. And this is what I want to emphasize this again, and this is what this video is for, is it's going to be to the point that stuff on social media, stuff on wherever you go for your information, even maybe well-intentioned podcasters that you could trust, but maybe they got misinformed and misled. It's going to be with AI and anybody being able to throw stuff up, manipulate videos and all kinds of stuff. They're going to do everything they can to manipulate everybody to the point and flood the zone that you don't know what the truth is anymore. You can't even get to it. You're totally whacked out, confused. And, and I believe the majority of people do want the truth. They do. Well, there's a few who want to, live in a certain, narrative. But I do believe the majority of people want the truth, but it's going to be harder and harder with manipulation. They've been manipulating forever, guys, but now it's getting even more intense to the point where you don't know what ends up. And when somebody says this on TV, you don't know if it's real or not, or if it's true. That certain things, to try to count on, you can't count on. Is there going to be a recession? Yes, no. You don't know. The stock market goes like this. Who's the fucking know? Things like that. When somebody says this, the next day they change and they're saying a completely different thing. And I believe it's intentional to keep the masses completely clueless, completely in despair, completely depressed. They don't know what the fuck is going on and everything. So what is the antidote to that? And this is what I talked about a little bit, but I felt like I really need to emphasize it again, is that you're going to have to unplug from all that nonsense, all of that noise. You got to start meditating, and you got to close your eyes, and you got to open the third eye, and you got to connect with higher self and spirit. I like to think of higher self as the middleman, and then spirit, and channel that down. Those messages will not lead you wrong. To the point, like, say, when you're reading books and things, that things will resonate. And, when you have that, when you're reading a book and certain things, maybe it's a spiritual book and it's resonating with you, it's giving your soul peace, it's making sense, it's giving clarity, things are kind of clicking into place, things like that. That's what spirit wants. Spirit does not want people misled. But the way to do it, it's going to be the point, and even your friends, if they're being misled, they're not helping you either if you're trying to get to the truth. But the true factual information, the real channel that you can plug into 24/7, anytime you want, you could be in your car driving, is that connection. It is going to be the point. That's the main way you get to truth, because manipulation is going to be so fucking hard. They're going to be taking people that were trustworthy and creating fake AIs of them, having things coming out their mouth, and you'll be so confused. You'll think it's them and it's not. The fuckery is on. Now, a lot of people are talking about end of times and apocalypse. Do you guys know what the word apocalypse means? In case you don't know. A lot of times when people think of the apocalypse, they think war, catastrophe. That's what they think. The word actually means revelation, just like the title of the book, unveiling. So we want that, right? We want the unveiling. We do want to be able to know the truth, right? Everything to come to light. That's what we want, right? That kind of sounds like an awakening. And there are parts of that book, which is a very depressing book, but there are awakening type stuff, things in it, okay, that are also in there. But that's a revelation. It's actually an unveiling. Just like when we talk about the high priestess in tarot, she sits right in front of the veil. There is a veil behind her. She is the one who kind of guards the veil, but she's also inviting those who want the truth to go beyond the veil. Okay, so it's and to think of it, a veil, it's kind of thin, isn't it? It is kind of thin. All it has to do is be lifted here, there, if you want to get to the truth. But you got to shut out the noise of the ego. Ego is what gets in the way. I want to try an experiment with you guys. Bear with me. I've got my little meditation singing bowl. So give me about 3 minutes of your time. I want you to try to quiet your mind for just 3 minutes. It's always going crazy. And you'll notice it. If you ever just pay attention, your mind is talking nonstop unless you've trained it. Some of us readers, we learned how to train it so we could connect with the higher self. So we could stop it from talking to get the downloads. But go ahead and close your eyes and just listen to this little singing bowl. And allow it to stop your mind from talking. Then I'll tell you when to open your eyes. So 1, 2, 3, close your eyes. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes. Hopefully you did it. Okay, if you notice with that, for one thing, the vibration with singing bowls like that, that's why I encourage you guys to go to sound baths. They're very powerful. I try to go to them at least a couple times a month. It changes the frequency. It awakens those chakras. It raises the vibration. But also the music and the tone stops your mind from talking and gives you a moment of peace. It's pretty amazing what things can do. And that's why I encourage like meditation videos. They're all on YouTube with some peaceful music. Close your eyes. Focus on the music if you have a hard time with silence. At least, silence is great if you could do it. But if you have a little bit of a difficult time, some music, because then you can focus on the music and stop the mind from talking a lot easier. But notice, I don't know, and definitely comment, let me know how you guys felt in that. Did you feel your frequency kind of changing? Because with every gong, and then your mind stops talking, it's not chattering, as long as you were really, trying to just Let it, because with those gongs, it interrupts the mind from talking, and everything, it raises the vibration, and it's a lot more peaceful there. And see, that's where I want you guys to go, and everything. Our phones, doom scrolling, news, that it's been like that for a long time, but it's really up in the ante to try to keep people in a low vibration, despair, isolation, yucky kind of energy. And that's where the spiritualists, the 144K, are kind of coming to say, yes, we're in a collapse. You are correct. If you've been observing a lot of these things, this is desperate moves from those losing power. You know why I think? Because they sense spirit is coming in a hardcore, powerful way. And they're grasping. And that's why they're getting so desperate. And that's why the chaos is going the way it is. But it's really, they're resisting because they know their time is short. So what can they do with that short amount of time? Because they know spirit's about to come in loud and clear, and a mass awakening is inevitable. It's happening and stuff. So they're going to try to suck as many souls as they can. That's what I think. Get this soul, that soul, this soul, that soul, as much as possible. Flood the zone. You're confused. You feel powerless. Look at depression. Has depression gotten better or worse with social media? It's like we can connect with all kinds of people, have conversations, and make friends. Yes, there is that, but there's kind of a price for that as well. Lots of distraction, lots of, externalization and things like that. A lack of developing the inner world. And see, a long time ago, spiritualists, they really emphasized developing that inner world, working on it, getting a place of peace, having moments of silence, meditation. And, this was, there was a spiritualism movement before. It was all over the world. It was coming in, especially the early 1900s. They were dropping knowledge, and their knowledge is still, very relevant today. They've predicted a lot of things that are happening right now. Okay, they were warning us in all kinds of things. I like to call them the players, like some of the older people, Alice Bailey was one. Madame Blavatsky, I'm not 100% fan, but she did still bring some good knowledge. There's still some things, even good old Crowley, I know he's the beast, but he gave us some stuff with magic. He still had some stuff. Golden Dawn people gave us, so there's some magical people kind of mixed in there. Some old players, some spiritualism, Edgar Casey, okay? There's so many. And we do have some good spiritualists today. Deepak is a good guy. We've got some good ones. I love John Kabat-Zinn. We had Dr. Wayne Dyer, God rest his soul. Louise Hay is really good. You can heal your life. There's still some good spiritualists even now, that are positive. But man, those old players, I mean, they dropped knowledge on us a long time ago. But one of the things they talked about is developing your inner world, working on your astral world. I mean, I've always said keep one foot in each world at all times. Yes, you still have to operate in the physical. Yes, you have a job. You got to make an income. You got to take care of yourself and your family. There's still things to learn, discipline, order, and stuff like that, achieving goals. We still want to do those things, but we also want to develop our inner world. We also want to work on our astral world and things like that. Develop it so it's not empty and we're staring into a void or something. We want to develop and strengthen that so both are very powerful. But at the same time, we also got to take down that ego. Okay? That's one of the things. If any kind of unveiling needs to take place, is that ego is not the center of the universe, and too many people think it is. And so let's go ahead and pull some, I know we're on the precipice of summer solstice, aren't we? What would be a good deck for that? I want to pull, let's go ahead. We'll just pull for my new one, the Rainbow Tarot. Let's see what Spirit has to say about that, about, getting to a quiet place of mind. Some peace. But yeah, apocalypse is not about bomb this, that. Okay, the word means unveiling. Okay, which sounds like an awakening to me. and stuff. Four of Pentacles reverse. So a lot of you, one of the things is kind of worried about abundance, financial stability. Yes, you still got to deal in the world, but remember, Spirit is the provider of your abundance, not your job. Spirit uses your job to provide you abundance. Okay? And, one of the good things about this day and age, people can pick up something on the side and be doing something. If you're a creative person, if you've got a project you love, if you've been thinking about a podcast, whatever, if you're an aspiring reader, whatever it may be, get out there and do it. Nothing's stopping you. But use your creative power and stuff. Queen of Swords reverse energy is popping up in there. So I feel like, one of the things, some of the ladies I feel are kind of feeling challenged in the divine feminine department right now. They want to have power and energy, but I feel like one of the challenges is sometimes in relationships looking for that rock they can lean on. Like, oh my God, I'm exhausted having to be the powerful person all the time. I hear you. I get that energy. But yes, there is an energy asking women to stand up. It's definitely there. Two of Pentacles. I know you guys are just trying to keep head above water, keeping the balance, so much going on and everything, but I really want to encourage you, if you're a creative project, I know we're in some tough times. It's like, how could I go for my dreams? Spirit's always about your passion and your dream. Do it now and stuff. Six of Cups. What did you want to do when you were a child? I want you to think about that, your childhood dreams. Spirit does not want you to forget about that. It's very important. I'm being called to flip the deck. Let's see what else we've got. Four of Cups, there it is. That cup that is about going within. Didn't I get this last read maybe? The cup is being offered. People are externalized. Just like the little person pouting, frustrated. I want things my way. I want it, and all that. And everything hooked on the reflection. We all can be a little bit narcissistic, okay? On social media, hooked on our own, trying to create an image, right? Okay, but then there is this cup being offered, and that is an invitation of Spirit to go within. I've got a whole world behind you here that I'd like to walk you in. That's the astral. Okay, there's that and stuff. And develop that energy. I've got an entire higher self I want to connect you with. Develop and strengthen that energy. Okay, so the Four Cups is about that. The love is within and stuff. Take the cup. It is a blessing. It is an offering. But yes, Spirit is saying, yes, I am your refuge. Go within. I know there's a lot of craziness going on right now. You got to do that. Empress energy, like I said, the divine feminine and stuff. And I know she's feeling a little isolated and alone herself. As I say that, the Lovers and stuff. She's like, where's my hero here? Where's my emperor? And everything. Relationships are being a challenge. But this is where it's a couple things. We do want to, have good standards in relationships. But at the same time, we've got to, we are here to have relationships with people and work on them. If somebody is willing to work, and do that and everything, that's the person to stick with and everything. Don't necessarily walk away just because of this or that flaw, ladies. Be kind. Within reason. If they're a narc, kick them to the curb. But we also want to kind of work out certain things and learn the lessons in these relationships. Let's see what else we got. Two of Swords. So it's interesting. We've got Two of Pentacles, Two of Swords. Some of you are sitting on the fence, deciding which way to go, what to do, and everything. And always the path with heart is the answer, to choose that. But yes, you can go for your passion here. The Devil, well, notice it's reversed. That's what Spirit wants to get you away from. The lies, the deception, the craziness. They're all trying to manipulate. We're like, no, we're going into the light. We're going to, and also the Devil card can be about ego. As we say that, we get in alignment with Spirit and Source, the Chariot. When we're in alignment, we are victorious. And so that's one of the things, bringing that higher self energy in there. That's your superpower and stuff and everything. But yes, we got to work our jobs. We got to do all that. Eight of Pentacles energy. Let's pull a clarifier for that. What do we get? Seven of Swords. I know we're kind of feeling, sometimes we can kind of feel in work situations, oh my God, I feel like I'm being used. I'm tired of working for somebody. That's why Spirit says, start picking up a creative project. Start going for things. Get out there. You can do that. Death reverse. A lot of people are, afraid of that as world coming to an end. There is a reversal. Queen of Wands was in the last read, is popping up. A lot of divine, feminine, powerful energy. By the way, it is Juneteenth. Okay, we've got that. Energy is positive and everything. And there's her emperor. Okay, there's the empress's emperor and stuff. They're kind of far apart. I need to come together. That's interesting. So anyway, so what are things also, if there's any kind of creative projects you guys are thinking about doing, something to put your heart into, actually it's a good time. I know it would seem like, oh God, is the world coming to an end? What's the point in going for my dream as a singer, or a photographer? Nope, do it. Spirit wants you to go for your dreams and stuff. When you were a child, what did you want to do? And yes, it's all part of healing that inner child energy. But yes, just work on the meditation, quiet the noise. You could get one of these singing bowls and the vibration raises instantly. It'll stop the mind from talking. Put some good music on and try to make sure we're unplugging, guys. Get out in communities, meditation groups like I was talking about recently, yoga classes, all that. Get a part of that energy so you can get in high vibration energy. And one of the things is, once you get on a higher frequency, you don't want to go back down. You don't want to go back down to that lower, depressed, despair. Once you get up on that high vibe, not much can pull you down anymore. It's really hard to be pulled back down. All right, guys, I do hope this helps.